The Legend of Dragoon originally came out in 2001 here in Europe, but 1999 for Japan, 2000 for America, so 2001 is when we got it. And I did not play it when it first released. That is a definite right there, unfortunately. But I have played it on the PlayStation 5 store thing, so it actually has PlayStation trophies, which I do love. I do think that it should come to everything, Xbox and Steam, as well as everything else. I did recently just see that Breath of Fire 4 has come to GOG on PC, so that's really cool. I'm hoping that comes to Steam. But The Legend of Dragoon specifically, now that we've had finally an Oblivion remaster, which looks really good, and I'm looking forward to playing it, I think The Legend of Dragoon is a game that definitely needs that remake treatment. You don't really need to change the main game itself, just make the game, just modernize the graphics and just maybe put in a couple of quality of life improvements, but keep everything else pretty much the same. Now, when Legend of Dragoon originally came out, it was being touted as being the Final Fantasy VII killer, as was Grandia, as was everything else, because obviously back in the late 90s and early 2000s, Final Fantasy VII was still regarded, as it is today, as the best JRPG and one of the best. Final Fantasy VII is my favourite game of all time, and I'm always going to think that. However, The Legend of Dragoon is still a really good game. Now, although I never played it when I was a kid, how old was I in 2001? Good God, I was 13, I think. Yes, I was 13 in 2001, so I was a young pup. I was a little squeebler. And I had a friend who had Legend of Dragoon, but only the one friend. I didn't really know anybody else who had it, and when I was a little bit of a game collector about 10 years ago, getting Legend of Dragoon is just expensive, and now it's even more expensive. So you can either play this via backup copies, or you can get it on the PlayStation Store, and it's not expensive at all in the slightest. So it's worth checking out if you have a PlayStation, or if you have access to play backup copies, if you know what I mean. But Legend of Dragoon is a really cool turn-based JRPG. It's pretty much standard fare with old school JRPGs. It's not open world. There are different areas, and there's a map that you can you have to follow the set paths, but you can return to locations and you can choose the locations you go to. Again, like I said, it's not open world, so don't expect that. Don't expect side quests and all that kind of nonsense. Well, not that it's nonsense, you know what I mean. I'm just talking blasé here. So it's just a game which is essentially just like a Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest for the most part, where you just go from point A to point B. Although more modern Dragon Quests and Final Fantasies have side quests, so maybe that wasn't the best of comparison, but old school ones. So yeah, so it's not going to break any molds or anything. However, what it is a really good story and really cool gameplay mechanics, because you take control of Dart, who is the main character, and there's also Shana and there's Rose. Those three are Dragoons, as well as many others within the game itself. And the Dragoon, basically, they just have the power of the dragon, essentially, and they can, in the battle, once their meter is full, they can turn in, kind of like Power Rangers style, they can turn into their Dragoon, and then you can use their abilities, basically, which is really, really cool. And the combat itself, even when they're not in Dragoon form, it's interactive, so you choose to do your attack, and when you make your attack, you have to press the circle or X button in the right timing with the squares that appear in order to successfully knock off a combo, which is pretty cool, so it keeps you engaged. The timing, it obviously takes a little bit getting used to, especially as I'm a musician. Sometimes when there's timing in games, it's not always on the money, sometimes it's always off, and it bugs the wank out of me. So as long as you hit the correct timing, you'll pull off a combo, and it's pretty cool. There's some really cool boss fights, there's some pretty cool areas you explore. There is some tropey things that do happen within the game itself, but I can give those a pass. The music is also really, really, I think, unique and interesting for the game as well, and I just think that if they brought this game to the modern audiences in a remaster, Trails in the Sky is getting one, so what's to say that Legend of Dragoon won't get one, you know? But it doesn't have to be a complete remake. Like I said, I'd be happy with just the game being just like having it all of its like the Grandia one, so keeping it pretty much the same but just improving the textures and widescreen resolution and all that kind of jazz. I think that would be really good, because like I said, great story, It's a nostalgic game, even though I never played it back in the day. The music alone, the music from the pause menu alone, gives me very warm, nostalgic PlayStation feelings because it sounds and feels very old school for me. In my opinion, like, a lot of people think that the golden age of gaming was the Xbox 360, PS3, and that's a good argument to make because the Xbox 360 especially was great. Oh, there's my computer telling me something's up. But I think that the golden age for me personally was like 93 to 2003 for me personally. But I'm not going to make no argument against you if you think it was the PlayStation 3 era. And the Xbox 360 era, because again that was a fantastic time in gaming. But here with the PS1 era, N64, Super Nintendo, Sega Mega Drive 2, I just have so many fond memories of playing the games, and there were so many great games that came out during that time period, and Legend of Dragoon is definitely one of them, and definitely one that, in my opinion, needs to be brought back. And I have made a different video on the Legend of Dragoon, but only the one in my whole God knows how many hundred of YouTube videos I've got. But I should really make more, and if it does come to PC eventually, or I will do some form of let's play or walkthrough or something, because it is a really cool game and one that I think definitely deserves modern treatment. But let me know down below what you think. Have you checked out the Legend of Dragoon, and is this one you played as a kid, or is this one you've never heard of? And again, if you have it if you have a PlayStation 5, you can get the game with trophy support, which is pretty cool. So let me know down below, and as always, thank you very much for watching.